Good day, good day, good day, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to a pop-up edition of Legalese Please. I am Natasha Robinson. I am your creator and curator of Legalese Please. This is a platform designed to decode, demystify, and deconstruct legal language. I'll give us a couple of minutes to log on. If you are here, please go in the comments and let me know where you are viewing from. You can also click like and click share so that we are able to share this information. Come on and have a little time with me. Give me some time as I share this in the places that I need to share them in. And again, if you are here and you are viewing, please let me know in the comments where you are coming from so that I can greet you and I can say hello. I hope that you all can hear me. Let me reach for something real quick. Hold on. Okay. We are in the room. If you are here, please go in the comments section and let me know your name and where you are viewing from. And also, if you could do me a favor, if you could click like and share with your social media connections, that would be awesome. I am Natasha Robinson. I am here to do a pop-up episode of Legalese Please, a platform that is designed to deconstruct, demystify, and decode legal language. So let me give you an example. How many of you all watch courtroom dramas, courtroom shows, you watch the news, and you wish someone could explain things to you in a way that you understood? How many of you all have tried to keep up with the analysis that is provided in the news or social media or different periodicals, and you feel a little embarrassed or ashamed because you think you should know the information that is being presented to you, but you don't? How many of you all wish that you knew some attorneys to which you can go and it not be in a time of chaos, meaning it is not a time in which things are falling apart or things are being bad in your life? If you say yes to any one of these things, Legalese Please is here for you. And I have announced, but I will say again, that I am going full time with Legalese Please. So beginning on August 8th of this year, Legalese Please will be officially launched. That's right. We're going to be offering all types of services for your use. And I wanted to provide one service. Well, actually, to be fair, I have been providing these services already, what I'm going to discuss, which is where Legalese Please comes online and gives a free offering, if you will, a teaching about some aspects of the law. And I do it because I also understand that sometimes the information that we need the most can be accessible in the least way, meaning usually to understand some information about the criminal legal system, for example, there are two extremes in which people learn about the criminal legal system. They learn it because they may be involved as a suspect, as a witness, or as a victim, complainant, or they learn it because that is the vocation that they choose to pursue by way of graduate school, either getting an undergraduate degree, a graduate degree, or a post graduate degree, a doctoral degree in criminal justice, or getting their law degree as what I have. And when I was in law school, I used to enjoy being one of the few people that can understand and explain what legal language meant. But as I matured, as I got older, I realized that this information should not just be kept in particular locations, spaces, and places, but that it should be shared, especially, but not limited to, those who are impacted the most by the policies, the procedures, and the concepts that cover our communities, that cover our societies. And so that is one of the reasons why Legalese Please was formed. Again, if you are just joining us, I'm Tasha Robinson. Please click like and share on your social media platform so that we can get the word out about this good information. So one of the things that I am going to be offering through Legalese Please is online courses. That's right, online courses that will be offered every semester. So when I say every semester, I really mean every other month. So starting in the fall of 2022, I will be offering courses that will be designated and designed to discuss about criminal law and criminal justice. So on August 8th, which is the official launch date of Legalese Please, I will have information where you can register to take these courses. And these courses will be a month long. That's right. They are no longer than 4 weeks, for about an hour, 75 minutes at max. And I will go into depth about different topics under the headings of criminal justice in general and criminal law specifically. And so I will give you that information on August 8th. But I did want to come on today so that I can give you kind of a little teaser as to what you will have to look forward to should you take this course. So if I were in a physical classroom, or for that matter, a virtual one, I would teach in this way. I want to talk today about crime. And I want to talk today specifically about misdemeanors and felonies. Misdemeanors and felonies. Now, of course, when you hear the term misdemeanors and felony, what you think of is crime, usually. I'm hoping so. However, there may not be a clear or crystal clear understanding of what a misdemeanor is and what a felony is. And so what I want you to understand is that when we are talking about criminal law, when we're talking about criminal activity, we are talking about activities, different doings of a person that is prohibited under the law in which they allegedly, I say allegedly because, it has to be proven first, allegedly do an act. So in every state, in every county, there are jurisdictions, and those jurisdictions come together to prescribe and to prohibit certain type of behavior. That behavior is usually called illegal behavior, which is known as crimes. And so if you are not following the law, and if you happen to do something that is against the law, then the law, through the writing of legislators, can say you could face possible punishment if you do or refrain from doing these things. And so misdemeanors and felonies are classifications of crimes that lets a person know if it is proven that you do this, or if you plead guilty and say you did this. This is the range, possible range of punishment that you can face. All right. So we're going to go into misdemeanors and felonies. So when we're talking about a misdemeanor, we are talking about a less serious crime for which a person can receive up to 364 days in jail as the maximum in punishment. Okay. A misdemeanor is a less serious crime for which a person can receive up to 364 days in jail as maximum in punishment. So let's break that down. All right. Less serious crime does not mean it is not serious. It just means that out of the two categories, misdemeanors are considered to be less serious. Some examples of misdemeanors can include battery, where you can, hit someone without their permission or consent. You can even touch someone unlawfully. And if they don't provide their consent, that technically is considered to be a battery. Spitting is a form of battery because it is harmful and offensive. Other examples of misdemeanors can include theft, depending upon what you are accused of taking and the value of what is being taken. Speeding can be a misdemeanor. Having possession of a particular amount of marijuana can be a misdemeanor. Now I hear you saying, wait a minute, I thought I thought that marijuana could be legal in some states. The answer is yes, it is legal in some states. However, you can't just go around driving in a car with weed. And you cannot be going around driving a car after having just, partaken in the plant. Okay. Because if a police officer believes that you are under the influence, it's not just of alcohol, it can also be of a controlled substance. And in some situations, depending upon the weight and the manner in which you use the marijuana, you can be arrested for that. Now, does that mean that you're guilty of that? Absolutely not. However, when we're looking through a legal framework, some things that you can do with marijuana, just because it may be legal to use, does not mean it is legal to use everywhere all the time. Okay. So you have to be cognizant of what activities are considered to be crimes, what are considered to be misdemeanors in your particular jurisdiction. Okay, so when we're talking about misdemeanors, understand I'm in Illinois, so I'm going to use Illinois as the example. You would have to check out your own jurisdiction, your own state codes to see what is applicable to you. But for the state of Illinois, when we're talking about misdemeanors, you can get a range of punishment. Punishment can mean accountability. Okay. So when we're talking about being held accountable, either through a finding of guilty or a plea of guilty, meaning you are saying, yes, I am guilty of violating this particular criminal statute, you can receive anywhere from supervision up to 1 to 364 days in jail. What is supervision? I'm glad you asked. Supervision is basically a non-reporting type of probation by which the court and the jurisdiction says, look, okay, we know you messed up and we're going to monitor you for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, however long. It can be no more than a year. We're going to monitor you, make sure that you don't get any additional cases, any additional arrests, that you basically stay out of trouble. If you plead guilty or you are found guilty and you receive a sentence of supervision, at least in the state of Illinois, that means that is not a misdemeanor conviction on your record. Misdemeanors where you receive supervision, that is considered, at least in the state of Illinois, that is not a conviction. So if you were to go and apply for a job, and the question asked, as most job applications do, have you ever been convicted of a crime? If you only have misdemeanor supervision on your record, then the answer is no. You would put no. You have not been convicted of a crime. And also, depending upon the state and the jurisdiction, at times you can get that supervision expunged, which means you can get it taken off of your record. But you would have to consult with expungement attorneys, because not every misdemeanor is expungible. All right. So that is one outcome of a misdemeanor, is supervision. The second outcome is conditional discharge. At least that's what it's called here in Illinois. That is a misdemeanor conviction. So it happens the same as supervision, except it stays on your record. And there could be conditions that could be given as a part of being on conditional discharge, such as maybe you have to go to a parenting class. Maybe you have to go to drug treatment. Maybe you have to receive your GED. Maybe you have to report to someone. All those can be conditions of the conditional discharge. And that is a misdemeanor conviction on your record. Then there is the outcome of incarceration, where if you plead guilty or are found guilty of a misdemeanor, you could receive 1 to 364 days in jail at the jail in your jurisdiction. So here in Illinois is Cook County Department of Corrections. You can go to any of the divisions. Usually women are separated from the men, and juveniles, they are housed in other locations, and you would serve out the balance of your time in those locations. Okay. You can also get misdemeanor probation. Now, as an attorney with the law office of the Cook County Public Defender, I didn't really get misdemeanor probations too much for my clients. It was one of the three that I talked about, which is supervision, conditional discharge, or actual incarceration. But what you need to know is that misdemeanors are considered to be the lesser of the two types of big groupings rather of crime. All right. The other thing that I want you to know, hey, Uncle Reggie, good to see you. Another thing that I want you to know is that just because something is considered to be a misdemeanor does not mean it is less serious in life. Okay. Good morning, Dr. Chayla. It does not mean it's less serious in life. So for example, if you are a college student and you get a misdemeanor charge and you get, say supervision or conditional discharge, that does not mean that even though it is lesser in law, it is less in life. For some scholarships, for some housing conditions, for some qualifications to be a foster parent, you cannot have anything on your criminal background. Okay, anything. I have represented college students and those that were headed to college in the past, and there was some issues as to how they could qualify for scholarships because they could not have any misdemeanor, anything on their background, because then it was subject to not receiving the scholarship or possibly not even getting into the actual college or university to which they were accepted. So there are those types of situations. Sometimes persons that may receive governmental assistance by way of subsidized housing, by way of subsidies, sometimes those things can be, how should I say, stopped. That's how I say it. They could be stopped. They could be withdrawn, depending upon the jurisdiction and where it is that you live. And so even though it is a misdemeanor, there are a number of outcomes that could irrevocably change the way in which you live, the way in which you move about in life. There is a documentary that talks about misdemeanors and how one would think that when we talk about crime, people are committing and being convicted of more felonies. And that is not necessarily true. What's actually true is, according to the Prison Policy Initiative, I think that's the name of the organization, there are almost 500,000 people who are being held in jail waiting to have their case taken care of. I did not say that their case was taken care of or dissolved. I said that they were waiting to have their case resolved, either by way of plea of guilty or by way of going to trial. And so misdemeanors, while they may sound less serious, they are still just as serious as it relates to the disenfranchisement that you could possibly face if you receive a misdemeanor conviction, and in some jurisdictions, just a misdemeanor charge and outcome. All right. So please be mindful of that. Please be careful of that, so you know how to move in these streets and make sure that you don't make any decisions that may affect your outcome unknowingly. Okay. Now, what we are probably more familiar with is the term felonies. A felony is a more serious crime for which a person can receive more than 364 days in prison. And for some states, you can be sentenced to life in prison, or you can receive the death penalty. All right. Felony is a more serious offense, a crime for which, if you are found guilty or if you plead guilty, you can receive more than 364 days in prison. So it's really more than 365 days in prison. And in some states, you could be sentenced up to life, or in other states, you could be put to death. All right. Examples of felonies are murders, homicides, depending on where you live. That's what they are interchangeably called. Usually, anything that involves a firearm is considered to be a felony. And when I say firearm, I'm talking about some type of weaponry where you have to use bullets or cartridges or anything like that. In some states and some jurisdictions, the type of drugs that you are accused of possessing can be a felony. For example, in the state of Illinois, cocaine in and of itself is considered to be a controlled substance that automatically puts you in felony status. Okay. Stealing a car, fleeing the police and doing it at excessive speeds. Kidnapping, burglary, and robbery, which are two different things. Burglary is when you are breaking into somewhere with the intent to commit some type of theft, and in some cases, another type of felony. Robbery, however, is when you are committing theft against a person, when you are taking something that they have and you're doing it by way of force. Okay, those are all examples of felonies. One of the major differences between felonies and misdemeanors are usually done for incarceration sentences. They're usually done in the local jails. Felonies, however, are usually, when you receive an incarceration punishment, they are usually done in prisons. Okay, usually done in prisons. Now, just because you are arrested with a felony does not mean it can stay a felony, and it does not automatically mean you would go to prison. These are possible or potential outcomes. For felonies, depending upon the charge, you can get probation. You can get the type of sentence where you have to report to a probation officer, and you may have to pay reporting fees. You may have to complete your GED. You may have to go to different types of counseling or classes, or whatever conditions are a part of the outcome of your case sentenced by the judge. Okay. Felonies, in most situations, I won't say all, in most situations, you cannot get that expunged or erased off of your criminal background. There are some exceptions where even if you have a felony probation, that it is not a conviction. One thing that comes to mind here in Cook County, it's what's called task probation. And task stands for treatment. Let's see, treatment to end something, something. Okay. I can't remember what it is. While I'm talking to you all, I'm going to look it up, because, when you are out of practice, while, you may remember off the top of your head, when, it comes to you, you like, wait a minute, what does task stand for? And so I cannot remember. Okay. So TASC, TASC, stands for Treatment Alternatives for Safe Communities. Treatment Alternatives for Safe Communities. And usually it is reserved, not reserved, I would say, usually these services and resources are provided to those who live with substance abuse and have mental health challenges. Okay, so in some situations, if the prosecutor offers task probation, or if you request it, and when I say request it, I really mean fight and advocate for it, or if the judge agrees with that type of probation, then that is what your client can receive. And usually there is an order that goes with the sentencing paperwork that lets all would-be employers, future employers, whoever, let them know that this is not considered to be a felony conviction. Okay, but there are special conditions in place for that. All right, so to review, there are usually two main categories of crime when you are talking about types of crimes in the United States. Misdemeanors, which are less serious offenses, which can have a potential punishment of up to 364 days in jail. And then felonies, which have the potential punishment of more than 365 days in prison. And in some states, it can go all the way to life imprisonment. And in other states, you could possibly receive the death penalty, depending upon the gravity of circumstances that led to the arrest, such as maybe the age of the victims, the number of victims, whether firearms were used, and other language that is in your state legislature's laws. You would have to look at that. Okay, another way of organizing crime, if you will, is by way of categorizing them with two main groups, which are crimes against persons and crimes against property. Okay, crimes against persons and crimes against property. That is another way of categorizing crime. Crimes against persons is, as it says, anything that may affect a person, anything for which a person may consider to be a victim complainant. Okay, and let me tell you why I use the term victim complainant. I use the term victim complainant because when I was practicing law, and any of my prosecution friends will tell you, I would often argue to the judge about why the word victim should not be used in a criminal trial. It is not to mitigate or undermine the injury or harm that the person is testifying about. But what it is also to say is if we are to have a fair trial, then what that means is that with certain words come certain emotions. And whenever usually a person hears the word victim, there is an automatic hardwired feeling of empathy for a particular person. And so sometimes that can get unfairly weighed or used against a suspect, a defendant. And just because a person is defendant does not mean automatically that they are guilty. And so in order to have as fair of a trial as one could have in a system, we'll talk about that later, I'm very picky and selective about the choice of words because I know the impact that words have. Now, does that argument always win in criminal court? No, but that doesn't stop me from using it. Okay, particularly in front of juries. Okay, so when I say victim complainant, that is why I use that term. So you have, of course, the categorizing of crimes according to possible punishment, which is where misdemeanors and felonies fall, or you can have a category of who the alleged criminal activity will hurt or impact, which is crimes against persons and crimes against property. Okay, so that is just a very, very, very small tidbit of how we classify crimes in this country. And so I just wanted you to have that. So when you are listening to the news or you are reading different analyses, you are able to understand what is meant legally when a person or source says a misdemeanor or a felony. Now, I also hear, because I have this ability to hear in my sacred imagination, the question, who decides whether something is a misdemeanor or a felony? Who decides? And so my answer to that is there are three groups of people who decide. Sorry, I have a hangnail. Whenever I have a hangnail, that really bugs me. Who decides if something is a felony, a misdemeanor? Here is my answer. It is not the only answer, but it is mine. There are three groups of people who decide if something is a felony or a misdemeanor. The first is your legislature. That is the lawmaking body in your state, in your village, in your city. They get to decide what are misdemeanors and felonies, okay? Because they can suggest a bill, they can suggest a law that can be categorized as either receiving less severe punishment or more severe punishment. All right, that's the first group. The second group of people who decide whether something is a felony or a misdemeanor would be the prosecutors. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because even though the prosecutors, they follow the law, every once in a while, the prosecution has discretion to decide if something should be upgraded or downgraded. This is what I mean. If a person is accused of if a person is accused of beating someone, let's say with a stick, and that person technically could be charged with battery, which is a misdemeanor, and then the injuries are a lot more life-threatening, or they create a substantial disability for the person who has been beat, it is the prosecutor who has the discretion to upgrade those charges to a felony. In the same way, it could be more serious allegations, and the prosecutor, either at the time of charging or at the time of disposition, meaning the case is about to be over, they can decide to downgrade a charge. And so that is why it is so important not only to know who your legislators are, but also who is the lead prosecutor in your jurisdiction. The last group of people who can decide whether something is a felony or misdemeanor, and you might not expect this answer, but I would say the voters. It is the voters who decide if something is a misdemeanor or a felony. And the reason why I say that is because for many locales and for many jurisdictions, it is the voters who put the lead prosecutor into place. It is the voters who puts the mayor in charge of selecting who is going to be over a police board or a police department. It is the voters that decide whether certain lawmakers are going to be in office or out of office. And so it is so important when we start heading into these midterm elections, county elections, state elections, country elections, whatever election it is, you should always show up and show up informed, because your vote can literally change the trajectory of what we call crime. And if you ever do a historical analysis of crime, or what is deemed to be crime in this country, you will see a trend And the trend is that morality always dictates legality. I'll say it again. Morality always dictates legality. That is my argument. If you look at how, for example, prohibition, which used to be against the law. Prohibition is a big word for you couldn't drink nothing. Okay. You could not consume alcohol in any way. You definitely couldn't sell it. And then at some point, when the morals of the majority that mattered believed, it's all right to have a little taste, then guess what? The law followed their decisions. Okay. When you have in the situation of the constitutional case of Loving versus Virginia, which is the constitutional case that went all the way to the United States Supreme Court about whether interracial marriages were considered to be legal and constitutional. That used to be against the law. You do understand people used to get arrested, they used to be charged, and in some cases they used to be killed because they married outside of their race, or they attempted to marry outside of their race. And it wasn't until Loving v. Virginia came down that says that you have the constitutional right to marry whoever you want to marry. That came because the morals or the morals of people began to change. Okay, so if you ever want to see where the laws are going, watch the morals of people who believe they are in power. Okay, last example, marijuana. There are still people in state and federal prison who are serving sentences for marijuana. But now you had the morals of those who wanted to engage in capitalistic thinking and funding saying, you know what? Let's make marijuana legal because now we can make it into a capital enterprise. And so all of a sudden, as you start to have these dispensaries opening up, you also have these laws coming down. That is no accident. That is not a coincidence. It's because the morals, the beliefs of particular people changed. And then what happened? The laws followed. So when I talk about who has the power to decide what are misdemeanors and what are felonies and what are crimes at all, you only need look really to the mirror, because it is your decisions, it is your voice that matters and makes a difference between what we deem, what we denote as criminal activity. All right. So that's a little something extra for you. But what I have shared with you is just an example of what I am going to be doing under the heading of Legalese Please. There are going to be courses that are going to be offered online. I will have that information for you beginning August 8th. Some of those courses will include Introduction to Criminal Justice, which talks about everything under the heading of criminal justice. So it talks about laws, it talks about policies, it talks about theories. Why do people commit crime? There are different scientific, sociological, ethical, financial, different reasons or theories why persons commit or break the law. Okay. I don't agree with all of these theories, but I definitely teach about them so that you are aware. Also, when we're talking about the United States, the criminal justice system, as it's called, I call it the legal system, is composed of three components: the police, the courts, and corrections. Corrections can be someone who falls under incarceration, or it could be someone who is under the supervision of the state, of the city, or the government. So corrections does not necessarily mean persons who are incarcerated. It can also mean those who are under the auspices and supervision of people in the corrections department. So I talk about all of that in the introduction to criminal justice. And what I love about it is I do it in different ways. Okay, so it's not all book work. It is looking at different poems. It is looking at different art. It is listening to music. It is talking about poems and spoken word. It is just a myriad of things where I bring the outside in. So you realize that you know more than what you think you do. We just use a different lens. Another course that I'm going to be teaching is criminal law, which is a subset under criminal justice, where we talk about what makes a crime. What are the components of a crime? What does the prosecution have to do? What does the defense have to do? And sometimes we even do a actual mock trial where you will be an attorney or a witness, and we will have a fact pattern where someone is on trial for a particular charge, and you can come in to testify for them or against them, or you can be on the attorney team where you are prosecuting, bringing criminal charges against them, or you are representing them and you are saying why they are not guilty of those crimes. Okay, so the first two courses are going to be Introduction to Criminal Justice and Criminal Law. And we're going to have that for the fall semesters in the month of September and in the month of November. And then in the spring, we're going to have them for the months of February and for the months of April. And that's just going to be, a trial run to see, how participation is. I get enough to get a feedback from students on what it is that they feel went great, what could be changed. And then during the summer, I will have some intensive courses. And those intensive courses will include law and literature, about the interrelated disciplinary relationship, if you will, where sometimes in literature, literary artists, they did not necessarily take a stand per se about the injustices that were happening. Rather, what they did was they used their literary work to make social justice commentary about what was going on. So that's going to be a course. Another course is going to be mental health issues in the criminal legal system. It's just going to be a lot of good stuff. Okay. And then always something for the kids, not to have them feel comfortable with knowing about criminal law, but to have them feeling knowledgeable. That's what I want to say. We don't want them to get comfortable, get used to criminal outcomes, but we do want them to be knowledgeable, to operate with reliable and relatable information so they know how to move and to navigate, whether they are here at home with us or whether they are away at school or away traveling, whatever the case may be. So we're going to have all of these great things, and I will have great information for you in the next coming month or so. If you cannot wait until then, you can email me at legaleazeplease@gmail.com, legaleazeplease@gmail.com. Make sure to click like and share. You can follow me on Facebook. When I say follow, that's not the word I want to use. What I want to say is you can connect with me because I'm nobody's savior. You can connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Okay. All of these are different places where you can find Legalese Please. The signage is the same. I want you to, click like. I want you to share it. I want you to connect with me so that you are able not only to stay apprised of everything that is coming to pass, but also to stay connected so that you can watch prior episodes where I talk about a myriad of topics. Okay, just a whole bunch of topics that come to you freely and without charge. Okay. The other thing is that if you want to stay in touch with me, but you do not want to use email, you can go to my link tree And there is a space when you look at the link tree, the second drop down box says stay in touch. You click that, and then there will be a form where you can give me your name, your email, and then that way, when everything is up and running, you will be the first group of people who will be able to avail yourself of the services of Legalese Please. Okay, so with that, I have gone long enough. I said I was only going to be on for less than an hour, and I am at 45 minutes. So I just want to thank you all so much for stopping on by, coming on my side of the internet to see what is happening. Please share this information. And I look forward to being in contact with you in the soon to come future. All right. You have a marvelous day. Take care. Bye-bye.